seats. It looks like we have a quorum and trying to wrangle in some members. Everybody's busy at this time of session. It gets a little bit crazy up here. So we appreciate everybody making their way here. And for our Banking and Insurance Committee meeting, I'll ask the Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Rocky Adams. Senator Douglas.
Here.
Senator Howell. Senator Neal. Senator Schickel. Senator Smith. Senator Storm. Senator Turner. Senator Yates. Vice Chair Girdler. Chairman Carpenter.
Here. We have a quorum ready to do business. Got a little bit of a hoarse cold, so maybe I'll talk less. That'd be great. I'll have the first group come up to the table now with Senator Whitney Westerfield, Senate Bill 111, an act relating to the treatment of stuttering. He has some very special guests with him today. I'd ask them to introduce themselves for the record, and we look forward to your all's testimony.
Touch your mic.
Is there any water down there, Whitney? Okay, if anybody wants some, we make sure they have access to it. That's all I was going to ask.
Chairman, thank you. I just want to invite my guests to come testify for all my bills down the road. I'm glad to have my friends here with me to work on a bill that wasn't my idea, was brought to me by Michael. You're going to hear from him in just a moment. We have a mutual friend who connected us, and he said he had a policy idea and he wanted to talk to someone in the legislature, and so he reached out to me. And what you see before you, Senate Bill 111, is a product of that work. Over the last year or so, we've had a number of conversations by Zoom and so forth, and by email and by text, trying to work on what this language should be, but it's all aimed at addressing the coverage limits and restrictions on stuttering services, speech therapy services available in Kentucky today. And this bill eliminates some arbitrary caps and limits on what coverage is available. Speech therapy includes coverage for stuttering today, but there are some arbitrary restrictions on that. The number of speech therapy sessions you can have, or whether or not you develop the stutter as a child, or if you had some event later in life that caused a stutter, there may be restrictions on your coverage then. This is an effort to eliminate or reduce those barriers to that care to make sure that people that need it can get it. And there are thousands of Kentuckians that suffer with that. I'm, though, not the expert on this. The experts are with me. And I want to welcome Michael Kidd Gilchrist, who is no stranger to the people of Kentucky, here with us today on Senate Bill 111. Michael?
Yeah. I want to thank everybody in this room for being here. I would think those probably think of me as a person who is honest and also also genuine. And this state has always been a big part of my life. I am from New Jersey, so as an 18-year-old kid at Kentucky playing basketball, everything was just fun to me. In the state, the people has and had and has right now a big heart. And I have been honored and blessed to meet my first therapist, Ms. Meg Shake, back in 2012, as a person who stutters, not knowing the fan base well, obviously in Jersey and stuff like that. And I was just shocked from an individual who stutters his whole life. I had an IEP in Jersey, and I thought my voice would never be heard to help these people in this state. I've been honored and also blessed to have a family, a wife, kids, but I never would have thought that I'll be here today, advocating for people in this state, kids and adults who stutter like that. For those that don't know, for us that have a stutter, our therapy sessions is very limited. And I know that I am a leader in this realm, in this state, and this is minus the championship, you know? And this is a human thing, you know? This effort has, it doesn't have anything to do with basketball. And I hope that I am making those proud in this state, but also my family, you know, and my supporters. I won't be here if it isn't for this state and these people. So why not advocate? Why not be that person who always had this issue with stuttering, always was embarrassed about it, always felt unheard. But today, all that changes for myself, and also hopefully these people in this state, adults and kids like myself. And you know, and I just want to turn over to Ms. Meg to express all of the gaps and stuff like that in the field, so she can talk. So yeah,
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Meg Shake. I'm an outpatient therapist and speech language pathologist at UK Healthcare. And in 2011, I had the pleasure of meeting Michael for the first time when he came in as a 17-year-old recruit, new signee. And we were lucky that year because the athletic department took great care of him. And we had as many therapy visits as we could possibly use. That's not the case with my work daily. I love what I do, and I work with individuals who stutter of all ages every single day. And not every day, but plenty of those days include talking to, negotiating with, and sometimes fighting with their insurance companies to try to get more visits, whether it's a hard max or a soft max or a outright denial because of the way that stuttering is coded. Stuttering is a very stigmatized and misunderstood speaking difference. Maybe some of you stutter. Percentages say that 1% of you do. Or maybe you've known someone who stuttered or love someone who stuttered. It's different in everyone. And what we know from the research is that speech therapy, particularly with a skilled practitioner, can help change people's lives who stutter. That's what I try to do every day, but it's often made difficult because of barriers that are out of my control. So when Michael approached me about this new phase of his life and his career and work, I was astonished and overjoyed. And it's been my pleasure to be a small part of it. And I hope that through this bill and maybe through some education today, you all will agree that the Kentuckians who stutter deserve quality care and they deserve to hear their voices heard. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kelly Craft. I am the former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations and a friend of Michael Kidd Gilchrist. We have known him, Joe and I have known him for 13 years since he first arrived at the University of Kentucky. So many of you are probably thinking, first of all, I want to thank the chair and the bill sponsors, because without you all, this would not be possible, and the committee members that are present here today. But you would want to say to yourself, NCAA championship, stellar high school player, first round, second pick into the draft. Incredible career in Charlotte with the Bobcats and the Hornets and in Dallas. But that really wasn't his calling, and he recognized that. We have known Michael Kidd to be an incredible student, an incredible young man on the court and off the court, full of integrity and full of character. And here is someone who is following his calling by giving back to the state of Kentucky, to the very people that lifted him up from the moment that he arrived at Bluegrass Airport, from the very people that cheered him on. And now he's here to give that back to young adults, to adults to children who have the stuttering problem.
We have a motion on the bill by Senator Schickel, seconded by Senator Adams, but we do have a few questions or comments. And I have a few of those. MKG, we appreciate you being here. Always watched you, but as a guy who used to play a little basketball, not at your level, but still played, you appreciate the athletic ability somebody has. But after the time is gone and you're off the court, you're a grown man doing what you do now, this is really where you can make a difference. And, I had always had a little stuttering issue and still do, but Mom said my mouth moved faster than my mind did. It was my problem. And so, a lot of folks have that issue. And it's easy to kind of look over that and not realize the comfort level that you have to have as a young man that comes in here before this crowd. There's not many people in this room who could stand in front of Rupp Arena and shoot a free throw. They'd probably airball it. They couldn't even probably get it past half of the line the way there. But for you to do something out of your comfort level and do this means a lot. And it's important because that's why this bill got heard, to be honest with you, because sometimes things up here in a busy session, a busy time, things kind of slip through the crack that are super important to people. But if it doesn't impact you personally, or somebody that does impact, then it doesn't happen. And so I just want you to understand how important it is for you to take the time to fly here and make effort to get away from your family to come back to the home state that adopted you to make an impact for us. And so, we know that this has an impact financially, but what is that financial statement worth? I mean, you know what I mean? What does that bring to folks' lives to give them a comfort level to be able to communicate with their loved ones, to communicate in their job, to make sure that they're productive? Because if I sound pretty country. I'm not far from here. I'm from Berea, and people are like, man, where are you from? And at times when I played ball, guys from Detroit or Michigan, they'd say, hey, Jared, how do we go down here to the store? And I'd say, go down to the light, make a right. And they're like, do what? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, go to the light and make a right. And, it's very easy for those things to kind of impact the person that you are until you get a comfort level of being satisfied and happy with who you are. And so I just want you to know that we really appreciate you being here. I know it's not always an easy thing to do something out of your character, but you look very dapper and fit the crowd very well, my man. So we appreciate your testimony, appreciate your work, honestly, something that's important to you. And so Senator Yates, I believe, had a question or comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Gilchrist, thank you for being here, the sponsors. Senator Westerfield had actually reached out to me before about this, and obviously this is something I'm going to be supportive of. And in fact, I'm supportive of expanding medical benefits to people in needing for our constituents in Kentucky. And so I looked at this and I had thought before, wouldn't it be covered by most insurance policies? And as I got kind of diving into my research, I realized that it's actually not covered by a lot of insurance policies. And when it is, and Senator for Christian had said that it's usually very limited. In order to be able to have advancements, you have to have continuing treatment. So this makes sense. I did have a question on what looked at the fiscal impact would be on it. Again, I'm all for expanding medical services for our constituents. I think it shows in the long run it's an investment in our people, and I think that's a smart move onto it. But I did just have that general question. I almost always ask that when we look to expand.
Thank you. Senator Smith.
Yes, I just have a quick comment. I appreciate the piece of legislation, and with all the stuff that happens down here, it's these pieces right here that can have impact on some of our own family members. I have fought for many years. I have a daughter with a disability, and I have used my position, just like you're doing, to try to make people understand that. And I will say that it's not always easy. But we've been successful, and I want to applaud you for making the effort here, because it is going to affect people. The cost question always comes up, and I'll say I think all of us realize that the sooner you catch something, especially whether it's stuttering or other conditions that young people may have, the sooner you catch it and they're able to focus on it there saves us so much down the road and other costs. And that can really be the esteem of a child and what they grow up to be and what they do in the success and the companies they build and what they do. That may all be left behind from this. So the cost for me is always really amazing, because we really can't afford to do it. We don't know what we're missing out. Kentucky's always been a frontier state. We're a commonwealth, which is something I take great pride in. So for us to lead in these type of measures in here is very, very fitting for us as a commonwealth. So thank you for the piece of legislation. I look forward to being able to vote for it. Thank you.
Chairman, what Senator Smith just said is exactly how I'd respond to Senator Yates. I don't know what the fiscal impact is. There's not a fiscal note. There is an actuarial impact, but it's slight. The impact to on the local mandate, you can see it there on the bill's webpage, and I don't have that in front of you, and I don't know if it's in members folders or not. So there are some costs involved, but there are also costs involved in doing nothing. And Senator Smith just highlighted all of them. And there's a long-term downstream effect of not doing this and investing in this now. And there's clearly a need. And when we're talking about, if the numbers are right, about 1% of the population has a stutter that we're dealing with, I don't think this is going to break the bank at all. And I think it's worthwhile.
Sure. I think Senator Douglas will be our last question, and we'll be ready to make a vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a comment, please.
Yes, please.
I want to thank you all for being here today. When I take a look at in the healthcare space, one of the things you'll always hear me talk about is what helps determine our healthcare outcomes. And I'm constantly harping that we have to stop blaming our healthcare providers and our healthcare institutions. I'm constantly talking about how we really need to take a look at patient compliance. And what we're talking about here is patient compliance. You know, Mike, you were boots on the ground. You participated. You didn't just have somebody come in and do something for you. We expand our healthcare coverage a lot. I don't mind expanding healthcare coverage when people are boots on the ground. I don't want to provide care for those who want you just to care for them. And you're a great example of someone who is showing boots on the ground. You're putting the time in. You're doing the exercises. You're doing what it takes to help you get better. And I want to applaud you for that. But I also want to, speak to the people of the Commonwealth. Those are the things that we need to look at whenever we look in the healthcare space and whenever we talk about improving our healthcare outcomes here in the Commonwealth. We need to make sure that we have buy-in from those that we're treating. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I think we have a motion on the bill in a second, so I think we could probably talk on this longer, but we better keep it moving. And so I'll have to ask the secretary to please call the roll.
Senator Rocky Adams.
I'm going to vote aye, and I want to thank the bill sponsor for bringing this great piece of legislation. And thank you all for being here.
Senator Douglas.
Aye.
Senator Girdler. Senator Howell. Senator Neal. Senator Schickel. Senator Smith. Senator Storm.
Aye.
Excuse me. Senator Turner.
I'm voting aye, and I also want to thank the whole group that's out here. And the cost shouldn't be a question in this case. Don't need no analysis. This is humanism at its best. And I really respect all of y'all seat at that table is doing what's right today. Thank you.
Senator Yates.
Explain my yes vote.
Yes.
First of all, thank you, and I'm really, first of all, proud of the sponsor and proud of this, Mr. Gilchrist coming here, but proud of this committee because the response I've heard repeatedly over and over again about expanding medical coverage, making sure that we do preventative care and ongoing care being an important factor for the Commonwealth of Kentucky. I'm hoping this is just the start. So, Mr. Gilchrist, thank you for your leadership. Senator.
Chairman Carpenter.
Aye. The bill does pass with favorable expression. Senator, would you want it on consent, or do you want to
It's your prerogative, Chairman. I'm happy to do it either way.
have our Miss Leader put it on consent? So I take that as it means we need to put it on consent. So have a
I'm happy either
have a
way.
motion for consent and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. It is on consent. We appreciate it very much. Michael, we appreciate you coming, and you're a smart man. You've got two ladies on each side of you that make sure to keep you in check and keep you in line. So we do appreciate you coming today.
Chairman, members, thank you.
Yes, sir. Was there anything you was wanting to say, Michael, to close up there, man?
I just never thought this would happen. I don't just bleed blue, you know. This is my second home. I am a proud individual from Jersey, but I just never thought that I have this type of impact on people. So, yeah, man, I want to thank you all for just being heard. For the first time.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming very much.
Thank you.
Kelly, everybody, thank you. Thank you, Senator Westerfield. Our next bill, Senate Bill 194, is an act relating to electronic delivery of health plans. Senator Julie Rocky Adams. Yeah, I think the camera surely will stay for Julie Rocky Adams' bill as well. She's almost as tall as Michael, so I mean, yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
I'm a letdown now.
No, we're still happy to see you, Senator. You're our leader. We'll do your bill and introduce all your guests that you brought with you.
Yes, all my friends are with me today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Julie Rocky Adams from Senate District 36. And this is a very simple bill. It is, this bill is permissive. I want to point that out first. And it's based on model legislation adopted by NCOIL. And all it does is it authorizes a plan sponsor to enroll insured members into paperless communications on behalf of a health plan. So it just requires the plan sponsor to allow an enrolled person also to opt out of paperless communication at any time. It's just, bringing us into the modern day.
Senator Rocky Adams.
Aye.
Senator Douglas.
Aye.
Senator Girdler.
I'll explain my yes vote.
Yes.
I like you as well or better than anybody. So, how many points did you average per game? I just need to know that. 0. You didn't have a good guard like Carpenter, I'd say. Vote aye.
Senator Howell. Senator Neal. Senator Schickel. Senator Smith. Senator Storm.
Aye.
Senator Turner. Senator Yates. Chairman Carpenter.
Aye. Would you like this on consent? We have a motion for consent and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? You're on consent. Congratulations. That was really good. It was too late. I already dropped the gavel on it. I didn't hear him say no. House Bill 280 is our next bill, an act relating to delivery services. Representative Pollock, good to see you again. This is like your second time, and we've had 2 committees, and you've been here twice already.
It's been a busy day, Mr. Chairman.
Good to see you. Appreciate it, and I'll let you introduce your guests, and we'll get started.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, committee. Representative Sarge Pollock, District 51.
Chris Nolan with the Insurance Institute of Kentucky.
So, Mr. Chairman and committee, House Bill 280 is insurance requirements dealing with delivery network companies. Obviously, in the last decade, delivery network companies, or D&C platforms, as they are called, have evolved through facilitating deliveries of various goods, meals, groceries by everyday people using their own personal cars. These DNCs, such as Amazon, Grubhub, Uber Eats, DoorDash, have become essential services for consumers and are now an important part of the economy. House Bill 280 is based on the NCOIL model sponsored by our good friend, the former Representative Bart Rowland. The bill sets forth insurance requirements for DNCs that allow people to use their personal vehicle for a business purpose. The legislation is designed to close loopholes and clarify gray areas in insurance coverages as the responsibility shifts between the personal use and a business use. Specifically, it requires the delivery network companies to ensure that the vehicle liability insurance coverage is in place during the entire delivery period from app on to app off.
We do have a motion and a second on the bill. Have a question by Senator Turner. Go ahead, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I understand what you're saying is that some person is going to get retained by one of these delivery services, and they're supposedly going to be insured by the delivery service from the time they pick the instrument up till it's delivered. Do you have any insurance companies that will do that? As a lawyer that's been in practiced for 40-some years and had plenty kind of litigation. If I'm a lawyer, I'm going to sue whoever in that accident, both the person that's driving that vehicle and the service person during the time if it occurs while delivery. But what insurance policy, I've never seen one that would insure somebody temporarily having their own personal vehicle insured and then make it a commercial vehicle during the time that it's being used as a commercial vehicle. Now, can you explain that to me?
I'll do my part, and then you can clarify anything. Basically, and the purpose of this bill is personal use and business use, and when that particular happens. And so that's where the loopholes and the gray area happen. So when you click your app on to do work, and you're representing that delivery network company, at that point in time, that transferring of insurance coverage would go to that DNC platform. Anything else to clear?
Yeah, the platform is required to maintain coverage for the driver. And that happens today with Uber and Lyft as well as with the delivery network companies. So it's just a matter of making sure that the insurance is in place.
But again, Mr. Chairman, can I ask another question?
Yes, sir.
So I'm just trying to determine if you all in drafting this bill have discussed it with the insurance industry that they will allow me or anybody else that is at home that insures my vehicle, then treat it as a commercial vehicle during a certain time period and then go back to the sole ownership that they're the regular insurance industry from whoever they are, from Farm Bureau to any other one, will authorize that person and allow that have a home policy and do that. Has that been cleared up with the insurance industry?
I can answer.
Wait just a second, Senator Girdler.
I just, if it has, that's fine.
I want you to answer it in just a second, but do you want to let Senator Girdler go ahead and answer it?
Yes,
answer
go
the
ahead.
question? Senator Girdler, go ahead.
What basically does, your insurance policy will exclude any commercial use at all. So if you get in a car and you're on a commercial use, it excludes it. You don't have to have authorization from the insurance company. Now, what happens is when you become a Uber driver, you bought into that franchise and you got their insurance to transfer over to you. And when you're as a Uber driver, that Uber policy takes over. So you don't have to have State Farm to say, Johnny, you can drive your car this, this, and this. Your policy states when they will give you coverage and when they won't. And so if it's used as commercial, it's going to exclude it. And that's the reason these things need to be brought to. Back in mine in your day, but this stuff we're starting to use, even when you leave cars for somebody to rent at the airport, you got a different situation there too. So, we're allowing our cars to be used personally, then are you allowed to use commercially? So the policy will dictate all you're talking about.
That's
not any agreement.
I think that's kind of what the whole problem has been trying to address, is to where when you click the button and said, now I am no longer Johnny Public driving my car, I am now Johnny Uber driver driving my car, whose policy covers it. And so that's what the holdup has been with this, because this is a new world that we're in. It used to not be an issue, and so that policy, once you click the button, you are now under the policy of the folks that you're a contract worker for. Is that correct or incorrect?
In essence, yes. So it allows for a policy or a combination of policies to cover if an accident occurs. So if a person's personal policy, as the senator alluded to, excludes it, then the platform policy steps in and covers it. So the purpose of the bill is to make sure there's coverage the entire time and that there are no gaps.
One more question. Yes, Senator Turner.
I understand the Uber, but you're becoming a commercial vehicle, and if you're hauling a truckload of stuff, that's different than just driving somebody in an Uber. And I'm just trying to clear it up so the public will know, and I will know, and everybody will, that's permissible with the insurance industry. If it is, that's fine.
And we're not addressing the commercial aspect of massive deliveries. This very clearly defines what a delivery network company is, what a delivery network platform is, and it's basically your iPhone and the app on your phone. It's for that universe of deliveries to address what insurance policies are covering it when it becomes a commercial purpose.
For like for Kroger, for instance, whenever they deliver your groceries to your house, or for Uber Eats when they go out and pick up your food, there's lots of those types, but it's not for the people delivering a semi-load, Senator
That's
Turner,
correct.
of product or goods.
No, I was asking like a pickup truck going to Lowe's and back though.
No, that's not. They don't offer that service.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all.
Senator Yates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I think you may have cleared up. We've got a couple of phone calls that looks like it may have been some misinformation, caused some confusion. So the example.
No way. Are you kidding? Misinformation.
Every once in a while.
Never happens.
In addition to just the bots, yeah, it was actually phone calls. The example was given to me that in the event that I have like a law clerk that I'm having deliver a document down to the courthouse to stamp and come back, they're literally would be working for me. They're being paid to work on there. In this situation, it's kind of because would they be a delivery unit, even though so it would not fall within
No.
this?
No.
Get some
No.
misinformation. All right. Thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying.
That's where you need a good insurance man to
That's
make
right.
sure your policy covers the driver and your business. Not
Senator Girdler, are you
the-
trying to take my job or
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
I'll give you that extra $2 I'm gonna make today.
I love to correct lawyers all the time.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna have to gavel you down.
So this does not affect that in any
does
way.
not.
All right. Thank you for clarification.
I appreciate it. I do have a few more questions. Okay, Senator Smith.
I'll be really brief. I just wanted to make sure, like, you have Grubhub and Uber Eats and a lot of these franchises that have actually grown. And I know people, our constituents really like them. This in no way is going to affect them or put them at a disadvantage that say they would have now an undue burden that they would not have in Ohio or Indiana, one of the states that surround us. Is that right?
That's right.
Very good.
Last question, I think, is Senator Howell.
Thank you. And I was trying to look for something in the middle of your presentation. So if I missed you saying this, I apologize. Stop me. Does this apply to Uber drivers or somebody or Lyft or the drivers that carry people, or is it just the drivers that carry product?
Great question. So we addressed Ubers and Lyft and that in the transportation network companies a few years back. We did take that model and then use this, but this is specifically for delivery network. Me being that person, if I want to sign up, we'll just say Uber Eats, you mentioned that. Basically, it's an agreement that I am going to represent this particular company, and these are the terms and agreements on how everything is happening and put in place is pretty much in a nutshell what this is about, and making sure everybody's all on the same page, whether it's the insurance company and the delivery network company.
Senator Howell.
And I apologize. I have one follow-up question. We don't have a lot of this sort of thing in my district, so I'm not as familiar with it as some others may be. But is this something we see where we have some of these businesses delivering people and product at the same time, kind of like we stash cargo on the bottom of a passenger jet or anything like that? Is there any kind of overlap on this?
No, there is not. So this only pertains to the delivery of goods, and it specifically does not address the transportation of people.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
you know, this gets kind of crazy, but Berea's growing, Madison County's a growing community, but like, I come in and they said, "Hey, let's get Cracker Barrel. I'm gonna call down there and have it delivered." And I said, "Do what?" This was about 6 months ago, Senator Howell, and so I was kind of behind times a little bit. I was like, "They'll do that." I know they'll do it if I'm in Louisville, Chicago, Cincinnati, whatever. But I didn't know they was offering those services in Berea, and they are. So
maybe Murray can rise to Berea's level pretty soon.
it's coming your way soon, I promise. If there's no other questions, this bill, I'm not going to put it on consent because there was one issue brought up to me that I want to have. We've lawyered it with plenty of lawyers in here already, but I just want to have my staff folks look at one thing that kind of snuck by me, and I made a commitment that I would do that. So we're not going to put it on consent. I already talked to Senator Pollock about that. It's a small issue. Don't get everybody
That's right.
bent out of shape or anything, but it shouldn't be a problem. So there's no other questions or comments. I had a motion and a second, so I'm going to ask Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Rocky Adams. Senator Douglas.
Aye.
Senator Girdler. Senator Howell. Senator Neal. Senator Schickel. Senator Smith. Senator Storm.
Aye.
Senator Turner. Senator Yates. Chairman Carpenter.
Aye. We appreciate your all's work on it and answering the questions, and I'll get with you very soon on getting everything clear.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Thank you all. Thank you, Chris. House Bill 371 is our next one, an act relating to mine subsidence insurance. Representative Williams is here to testify, and if you have anybody with you.
Chris, you want to come up and say too?
I know we do have
We have committee sub.
We have a motion and a second on the sub. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Sub is adopted. I'll let you introduce yourself for the record and your guest, and then we'll get started.
All right. Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to present today. My name's Wade Williams. I'm a Kentucky State Representative, House District 4. I'll let my guests introduce themselves.
Chris Nolan with the Insurance Institute of Kentucky.
Dustin Miller, retained legislative agent for State Farm Insurance.
Thank you all. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today, House Bill 371 came about where I had a constituent whose house sank 16 inches in a relatively short period of time, I think about 3 months. And it was due because it was built on top of an old coal mine work. And in 1984, the General Assembly established the Kentucky Subsidence Fund to make available through this fund insurance coverage losses due to the rising to mine subsidence in Kentucky. And since 1994, the fund's maximums have been increased on 2 other occasions, 1998 and then in 2010. And they simply just haven't kept up with the cost of new houses. So instead of going back to the legislature every so many years, we worked with the stakeholders in the industry, Kentucky Farm Bureau, the independent insurers, and the Kentucky Department of Insurance for a long-term solution on this. I wanted to make a special note. This coverage only applies to designated coal companies or coal counties.
Motion on the bill.
Please call the roll.
Senator Rocky Adams. Senator Douglas.
Aye.
Senator Girdler.
I'd like to explain my yes vote real quick.
No, sir.
The famous name at the table is Dustin Miller. He played ball for UK.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right. And I just wanted you all to realize that he made Nazi Muhammad what he is today because he watched everything he eat to make sure he didn't gain any more weight.
Oh, okay. Everybody has a role. Appreciate that, Senator Girdler.
That's right.
Senator Howell. Senator Neal. Senator Schickel. Senator Smith. Senator Storm.
Aye.
Senator Turner. Senator Yates. Chairman Carpenter.
Aye. Do we have a motion for consent on this one as well? Motion and second. All those in favor? Any against? We're on consent. Appreciate your all's work too. These gentlemen caught me in the hallway. I was trying to hide and had an issue, so appreciate you working with them to make sure we got that clarified.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Thank you
Chairman
all.
and Committee.
Thank you. Our last bill is House Bill 495, an act relating to deferred deposit transaction. Representative Dixon is here, and I think Representative Dixon, you'll have some guests with you. Appreciate you coming today, and if you want to introduce your guest, and we'll get your presentation started.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee members. I'm Jonathan Dixon, Henderson, District 11. I'll let my guests introduce themselves.
Dustin Miller, representing Veritech.
Mark Wilson, partner Top Shelf Lobby, sitting at the table today for Community Choice Financial.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I may proceed.
Please do.
All right. Thank you. House Bill 495 is a technical cleanup bill to modernize the payday lending industry in Kentucky to allow customers to use the financial product that originates and to pay it off electronically rather than by paper check, which is in current statute. It also allows the Department of Financial Institutions to allow for a adjustment in the fee in the real-time database that we keep, which is regulates all Kentucky payday lenders, and they must use this in order to be compliant with the Kentucky Department of Financial Institutions. Passage of this measure will protect Kentucky consumers who will utilize this product by strengthening the regulatory database and provide consumers with a regulated loan option as an alternative to unregulated, unscrupulous offshore loan products.
Second.
I don't have a motion and a second. Appreciate your all's work on it. I've had this issue brought up to my office and asked several questions because anytime we have this topic, people have questions. So I know why they're doing it. I know what they're doing, and I know the fee going from $1 to $3 is a small number because it's not been changed, Dustin. And I mean it's 50 years, or it's kind of a crazy number. It's been a long time. I guess is my point of the story. Right. But we do have somebody that would like to speak against, and so I always allow that opportunity. Before we cast our vote here and give them just a few minutes, same amount of time y'all took to describe it, I'll let them talk against it. But now, Richard, I think you're here on behalf of your group. If you don't care to come to the table and introduce yourself for the record, we appreciate you being here. And we'll let you address us with your concerns. Gentlemen, you can sit at the table with him, or the representative can. That's fine. Make sure you push it. Thank you, sir.
Yep, got it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Rich Seckel. I'm director of Kentucky Equal Justice Center. We're a nonprofit civil legal aid outfit. I've been watching payday loan policy for some time, even before payday loans were authorized by statute. That goes back to when the bankruptcy trustees sued because the effective high interest rate on payday lending crowded out other creditors. There are two elements of the bill that concern us. One is language that would allow online payday loans, and the second is the increase in the fee to check the database from $1 to $3. We're concerned that an online option would increase the volume of payday lending in Kentucky, and that some portion of new users would find themselves in a debt trap, essentially a cycle of repeated loans. Since time is short, I'll cut short my testimony, but picture the ad that says download our app. It may make that first loan easy to do, but the next one and the next one, when you're pressing that button, drive up the expenses. The image that we have of payday lending is it'll get someone through a brief hard time that they're going through. In fact, the average number of loans that a consumer has in Kentucky is 10 during the year. So the costs add up. People get in a cycle of debt. So that's our concern. For years now, policy has trended toward greater protection. In 2006, Congress enacted a 36% interest rate cap for payday loans to military personnel. The military had found that the loans were destabilizing military families. So that's our concern, that the volume of payday loans is going to go up. It's not hard to find a store. I'm not sure we want to make it too much easier to get yourself in this cycle of debt.
We appreciate that. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Richard? Senator Yates.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, this is always one that brings alarm to me when we deal with the payday loans. I used to work at the AG's office, bounced around a little bit, but I got to do some consumer protection litigation there. And one of the issue was a lot of, even outside the United States, some of the payday loan companies that were issued online, and having those, and sometimes they'd have like the APR of the 29.82 interest rates that were set up. And I know that we tried to crack down on that, but I literally just Googled it just now to get a loan, and of course they all pop up. So they're still there, prevalent, because we don't have a whole lot of control outside of the Commonwealth. So what I do is I try to do as much oversight as I can, because so much of my constituent base, I think, a lot of times is taken advantage of by the predatory lenders. So it's almost like you want a regulation without overregulation, that you move your local companies out, and we're dealing with the worst abusers that are outside the United States. So having met with this a couple of times, I think I'll be supportive of it, because it looks, one of my problems is if you could only pay by check, a lot of people can't pay off the loan until they get in there. So and that's one that I'd heard from my constituent base, is that being online made it easier to the people. But if it doesn't, if you have to come in to pay or into it, that interest continues to click onto it. So it was tough. Anytime I think it increases access to the payday lending, I think that there'll be additional abuse and people that will fall of it. My worry is that it's so prevalent, like through Google and whatnot, how easy it is to get a hold of. I would rather have local people who come before our committee that have some level of accountability, as opposed to these companies in Dubai and some of the other ones that pull up. So I think that's why I'll be in favor. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Senator Yates. You sound like almost my response, so I won't even say anything else. I appreciate that. Huh? Yeah, that's all right. We appreciate you. I'm so glad you're sitting in front of me. Any other questions, Representative? Appreciate you, Richard. Thank you very much for coming. Senator Neal has a comment.
Thank you. Well, a question.
I apologize.
Does this bill also, because of this, limits the ability of a person to go from one to the other, and it checks that so that they can't be duplicated, because they drive them up by?
Correct. Yeah, it does not change what's currently there. You can only have 2 loans up to 500 maximum. It changes none of the regulations that are out there, so none of that would change. This just, in the electronic portion, would move it to where they can pay those off electronically versus having to go into the brick and mortar establishment.
If I may?
Yes, sir.
But doesn't it also, because it's electronic, they can look at it those who do regulating, and they can see the movement.
I'll let Dustin answer.
Yeah, so actually you have that system today in the paper, but yes, by going electronic, these will all go through the database that you all established in 2008. So yeah, it will be a totally regulated product, which is better than the options that Senator Yates was talking about, which are online, offshore, that
Right.
do not follow these regulations.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Senator Howell?
I have a follow-up question
Yes.
on Senator Neal's, if I may, Mr. Chairman. If we move this into the online space, will this be easier to monitor things like whether, in fact, a borrower has more than one loan out at a time, or will it make ensuring compliance actually more accurate at that point?
The database is really accurate today, even in the paper. So when you go into the store, they'll key your social and see, you've got loans or you don't, and then it will let you have one or not. It's truly a red light, green light. Going to online, the system will work just the same, and we'll interface with it in the same way. So I think the high level of regulation we have on the product will continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was a question I was trying to ask, and I went about it backwards.
All right, that's fine. Thank you. I believe we've got those answered, and I understand what the bill does. As a former guy that worked at a bank for 15 years, you don't like to see anything in interest rates or kind of predatory stuff, but I think we have really done a lot of things to crack down to make sure this is an industry that's needed. When I worked at the bank, there would be people come in and want to borrow $500 from me, and I'd say, we'd like to, but we just can't do that. Our ability to offer that service for the cost of what we would get from it and the cost we're going to have to charge you is not something we want to do or we're even able to do financially. And so I understand there is folks for that, and I understand Richard's concerns, and that we want to make sure that we're protecting people that do have to use this service, because the alternative to this service is even worse, is a credit card if they can qualify for a credit card or something else. And so we do appreciate that service, and we appreciate trying to protect consumers and Richard's advocacy as well. So I'll ask the Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Rocky Adams, Senator Douglas,
Aye.
Senator Girdler, Senator Howell, Senator Neal, Senator Schickel, Senator Smith, Senator Storm,
Aye.
Senator Turner, Senator Yates, Chairman Carpenter.
Aye.
Motion for consent.
The bill does pass. We have a motion for consent. Motion for consent and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We are on consent. We appreciate your all's work on this issue.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, committee
Senator
members.
Neal, I saw you had your hand raised, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I was out of the room when you voted on Senate Bill 111 and Senate Bill 194. I would like to be registered as voting yes on both of those bills.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is there any other things that need to be brought